Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third session of the online training for students. The training is part of European program, Erasmus Plus program, and called Education for Technological Literacy and Inclusion. We are now in the session 3 of the series of online seminars for students on live streaming. And my name is Kari Kiisak-Prikk. I am the senior lecturer at the Estonian Academy of Music and Theatre. And my background is cultural management. I'm not a musician. I'm not a technology person. I'm just a regular, ordinary teacher of management and leadership. I have been trying to use streaming myself. And today my role here is to invite you for the discussions and thinking on various topics about the streaming. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you will see that. So do you see my screen? Yes. Yes. Perfect. So this is the project we are talking about and live streaming. We plan the session today to be around 2 academic hours. We have less students today as planned because unfortunately it's a Ramadan time for our Tajik friends. But luckily we have still Estonian friends and Indian friends here over, and we still hope that we can do some kind of interaction, even though for those who are watching this seminar afterwards might feel a bit abandoned, but that's the reality of the online seminars. The ones who are here live can participate. The ones who watch the recording will just have to cope somehow. Anyways, so today we aim to discuss how streaming has been used in various fields of life, in pedagogy or in training, in any kind of training, in any kind of teaching, in the arts, especially in music, because I'm based in music education, and live streaming is a lot about sound and communicating with sound. So this is very relevant to talk about how do we communicate music in a live streaming situation. Then I invite you to discuss a bit how it could be used in promotion and in maybe teamwork, collaboration, and in your own work or your school affairs. So I will share with you some examples, some cases which come from various sources. And our aim is to look at these small examples. They are video clips that I will share. We will look at the small examples and try to understand what are the lessons learned. Do you see my screen? I'm not sure because it somehow says my screen sharing is paused.
Now we can't see.
It's
Black background.
Yeah. It's just a black screen.
I'm not sure. Do you see my screen at the moment? My slide, the aim of the session.
No slides.
I don't actually understand my.
It might
Do
be
you
the
guys see, do you guys see my slide?
no.
No?
It's a very similar
What
obstacle
could be the issue?
lesson.
Stop sharing. Me, trying once again. Share screen. There? No.
Yes. Now we
Do you
see.
now see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, for some reason it started to say that my sharing is paused, but now I understand that you see my slide. Yeah. What's the aim of this session, right? Okay. So we're going to work on different clips of examples, and I hope that you will be able to interact somehow with me, so I'm not all alone here. Okay. Let's continue. First of all, so I ask you to go to a different website now. Try to go to menti.com, or you can try to scan the code, the QR code that you see on the screen. I hope you see it. And then if once you're there on menti.com, try to enter the code 48748144. Okay. I will put it also to Zoom, so that Zoom chat, so that you know where to go, and you've got the code in front of you. And then I ask you to, in a second, I will share a question, and I hope you can take the time and answer. Second. Me, do you see? The question that I'd like you to answer is, how do you think a great live streaming session should look like? My screen is paused. Why is that? Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You see the menti.com. Thank you, Kertu.
Yes.
I was afraid that I'm here all alone in the universe. And just enter a phrase or a word that you think a great live session should look like. We've got 0 responses so far.
I'm sorry, I have a different question in my Mentimeter.
Really?
Question, how could you use live streaming in your studies or work?
Yes, I
Yeah,
have.
same.
Oh, okay. That's so weird.
I thought I read actually the question wrong.
No. It's not the right thing. Sorry. Present this. No. Okay. Oh God. I try to share the right thing. It worked out really nicely once I tried it. So what is the issue here? Anyway, you can just tell me, how do you think a great live streaming session should look like? What it should be like, or with interactions? Thank you.
That it's done with a purpose and a
Yes.
goal.
that it's with a goal.
With
Yes.
a purpose and a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Once
With
my phone opened a live streaming on Instagram and it just recorded for 30 minutes my pocket and people thought it was an artistic performance.
okay. It was very very artistic to see the inside of your pocket. I hope you had nothing embarrassing there. The live streaming session, yes, with a specific purpose, not random, with interactions, probably, hopefully also smooth, technically smooth, not similar to what we have here right now. But in often cases, oftentimes, it doesn't end up being like that. When we use streaming in pedagogy, like we do now here, or training, sometimes we think it's helpful because it saves time and money. I do the streaming once and the students who are not present can watch it later on. But at one point, it might not be very helpful for those who are present if, for example, the slides and stuff doesn't work, or the interactive things do not act as you wish them to be. Streaming can be also used as a tool in music, from playing together from anywhere, having one musician in one place, audience in another place, or various musicians in different places. The communication in music then goes beyond the location. We might think that it's really helpful for less traveling, more cost effective, more time effective. It might help reaching new audience, or it might help to use different or new types of engagement with the audience. The previous session of this live stream seminar, the second session with Piret Lehiste, covered many of the tools, how engagement can be done in streaming settings. But at the same time, there could be several risks. And we will talk about these risks today after one little video example. And you all, I'm pretty sure that every one of you could use streaming also for any kind of marketing promotional reasons or purposes, or for collaborations. But we have to keep in mind that streaming is not the same thing as video conferencing, right? Like we are doing now here, video conferencing. It's not a live stream in this sense. But it is still possible to use live streaming in every situation that needs real-time communication, and especially when this real-time communication needs to be without any delays, or any kind of co-creation which needs to be done without delays in the real time. And the good thing is, of course, that we can do it regardless the location. So live streaming could be also used in collaboration for quick troubleshooting, or process tracking, or reporting, or also sometimes collaborative decision making, or documentation, or event coverages, or something like that. But we also have to understand that there are plenty of side effects of live streaming as a tool. So every tool has some risks and negative sides as well. We have a very useful tool of Axe or Saw, but they can be misused the same way with the streaming. If not used properly, in a proper way, manner, in proper time, for proper reasons, it might work against us. And sometimes, because live streaming is related to the technology, sometimes the technology disruptions or technical problems might lead us to frustration or decreased productivity instead of being very cost effective and so on. So there are also security risks, and we have to bear in mind all the distractions that might happen during live streaming from the side of delivering part and from the side of recipient part. We all know that watching a live stream while multitasking is very common. So the question arises, what's the point then? We all know that people nowadays are in information overload. So live streaming is another another piece of information constantly online. And then we have to think about all of those things before we decide to initiate a new live stream or to use the streaming as a tool. So there are many other risks involved as well, and we will discuss them hopefully today with you who are here and who are able to communicate with your voice and with your video. Okay. Oops. Okay. So do you see my screen, right? An examples cases.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I want to share with you first example. This is not my practice, but this example was presented at one conference by Stefano Fasciani, who is an associate professor in the University of Oslo in Norway. He designs, crafts, and composes and performs with electronic machines that generate electronic soundscapes. So she's actually a professional practitioner who is using this streaming as a tool in music making every day in his work. And also he's an academic trying to also build and share the knowledge around it. So he will share with us the example, which is about a specially composed music piece called Renditions, and it was composed by Alain Renaud and Curtis McKinney, and the example shows musicians who are in 3 different locations, and also audience is in 3 different locations. We might think that, oh, it's a new thing, but it's not really. Like, streaming this way is not really a very new thing. There was already, like, 1951 the first occasions of live streaming in such kind of musical performing events. There was a special like John Cage Imaginary Landscapes piece, which was performed using this kind of live stream. So it's not a new thing, but what is new is how we nowadays are able to do it without technical interruptions, and we can nowadays take into considerations all the milliseconds that actually play a crucial role in streaming the music. Why we use the music example here is that live streaming is about sharing information and sharing sound and video at the same time, regardless of the location, without delay. So of course, the same things apply to speaking and dancing or painting or whatever, but music is just the most complex and most complicated way to do the live streaming. So that's why we want to share it with you at the moment. So I hope you now see the video.
Here is an example of a network music
You see?
performance. The piece is called
Yes.
Rendition. It was by Alain Renaud in 2012, and it's performed on the
I'm sorry, somebody's mic is on and we can't hear, we can hear like
the both sides, and it's irritating a bit.
Okay. Just a second, I will check.
Bournemouth University, Queen's University Belfast, and Stanford University. The piece features 3 performers in 3 different locations with audience in each location. There are also elements of live electronics, spatial audio, sonic visualization, and dynamic graphical score generation. This piece was actually composed to be played over the network. There are a lot of things that may be very challenging to do over the network if we are placed in remote locations. But on the other side, the network also offers great opportunities that we don't have if playing in the same physical space. So in network music performance, we enable a musician in remote geographical location to play and perform together, to interact as if they were in the same space through computer and telecommunication networks. In order to do that, we must provide musicians a realistic performance condition and therefore a fully immersive virtual space. Technologies for network music performances does not apply only to concert, but we can use the same system for teleauditions, remote music teaching that is extremely important for remote geographical location where there's actually no teachers. We can also use it for rehearsal, minimizing the cost and also the environmental impact of traveling, and also distributed jam sessions. Now, let's have a look at which are the requirements for playing music together if we are considering to use traditional acoustic instruments. So if we play music in the same room, we rely on several modalities, on auditory information and also on visual information or visual cues. In particular, we hear the sound of an instrument, we hear what someone else is playing and when. Through the reverberation, we may have an idea about where this instrument is located within the room, especially if we have multiple instruments that are present in the same timbre. And we also use visual feedback to understand what is about to happen. If you think about the video that we just saw, the network music performance, at the beginning the players, they look at each other to say, okay, we're ready to play. And visual cues are almost as important as auditory cue, and it's also important to provide them this sense of immersion and telepresence. As briefly mentioned before, this one translates into a set of very demanding and strict requirements with respect to the computer network, especially with respect to the bandwidth, latency, and jitter. If you're not familiar with this term, we will see next what do they mean. But long story short, we need that the one-way end-to-end transmission of the audio and video signals it's below a few tenths of milliseconds. Moreover, using the best of what is available today is not yet possible to reproduce all the details of physical presence in the virtual network space. Probably.
So I stopped it here. I hope you heard Stefano talking. The video continues. I will share the video link later on, and you can find the link on my slides after all as well. It's a long and very thorough, but also theoretical insight into live streaming. What is it all about? All the technical requirements and so on. So basically, what Stefano actually told in his presentation was that the streaming technology could be used for musicians playing in different locations and audience in different locations, but not only for concerts, but for also auditions and jam sessions, rehearsals, so on. But while the people act in same space, they receive information in also many other ways, not just hearing, but also seeing, feeling, sensing, so on. When we use live streaming, we have to be able to create as similar environment for the communicators as possible, meaning that everything that comes with sensing the space and sensing the other person that you're communicating with, these are then hindered or these are not so natural than they happen when we are together in one room in real life. But in case of live streaming, musicians have to get feedback from others also very quickly. So the one-way end-to-end transition delay must be below 30 milliseconds. So he mentioned, Stefano mentioned at the end of this clip, 3 important characteristics or 3 important aspects, which are bandwidth, latency, and jitter. So and later on in his presentation, he also mentioned something which is called, like in professional terminology, EPT, which is ensemble performance threshold. As I am not a technician and I'm not an expert fully in this, I'm not going to go too deeply into that, but I strongly encourage you to check out this video, the clip, which is freely available in YouTube, where Stefano really explains very thoroughly what all of these terms actually mean, but they are important characteristics for you to be able to use live streaming in your professional work, whether you are a musician, whether you are a music teacher, whether you are arts manager, music manager, or whether you are working in economics, in design, architecture, in whatever. You might need to remember these terms of bandwidth, latency, and jitter, because you need to also engage with the technical crew that would be then supporting the live stream, which has to be done in a very good quality level. So the bandwidth is important for live streaming because it's something that we negotiate with our network provider. It's something that we buy. Basically, it's a total amount of work done in a given time, and it's measured in megabits or per second or gigabytes per second or something like that. So it's the amount of data we can send in 1 second through the network, right? But the important thing here to remember is that the quality and the success of live streaming does not only depend on the bandwidth. bandwidth is just one. I mean, it's easily changeable and it's easily negotiable. We can just use a different network. We can use better network instead of using like Wi-Fi network. We can use the how do they say, Ethernet with a cable, yeah, to ensure the better bandwidth and so on. But more important is the latency. The latency is the response time, meaning the time between the beginning and the completion of the task. The task is to transfer the information. Yeah. So latency measures the time when the package of information reaches the receiver. Yeah. So this is also measured in milliseconds. And the third concept, which is jitter, is actually the probabilistic variation of the latency, and this jitter depends on the traffic in the network at the same time. So because of the jitter, there is this buffering to handle this jitter, so that the packages are like accumulated at one place and then smoothly transmitted further, so that there will be no cuts and no stops in between. So when we talk about this latency, bandwidth, and jitter, it comes down to the ensemble performance threshold, which is EPT. And if somebody says to you that, oh, we can't receive EPT less than 90 milliseconds, then you have to understand that this is not enough to perform music, like synchronized music in a live streaming. It has to be, the EPT has to be approximately 20 to 30 milliseconds minimum when the musicians still perceive the music in time. So what I took away from the Stefano Fasciani presentation was that when I start to organize some kind of a music live stream, I have to make sure that I communicate to my crew that we need the EPT approximately 30 milliseconds. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work out. So the total round trip of the sound going forward and coming back, if it's more than 30 or 40 milliseconds, then we can already hear that there is this error in the synchronization. We will hear the latency. But using a good bandwidth, using a good internet, using a good connection, the live stream between like Tallinn and Madrid should be easily reachable, lower than 30 milliseconds. But it also depends on the location, on the distance. When the distance is extremely long, then it might be more difficult to achieve the EPT less than 30 milliseconds. So because of to sum it up, because of the jitter, bandwidth, and latency, there's a delay in the sound. So the distance also affects the live streaming quality. So we need to consider the internet, and also it affects the repertoire, because there are strategies to overcome the latency. Yeah, there are strategies to choose pieces or repertoire, as you heard from the example, which does not really require rhythmically synchronized, performing. When it's more loose or improvisational or something like that, then it's one strategy to go around of the delay problem. But it's also possible to find different ways of how do we, like, there's also possible to rethink how do we play together if we play in different locations. So that was that. Do you have any comments on that at the moment? No. Okay. Would you attend to let's try once more. Would you attend the concert? Let's try to go to Menti. I'll see if I present. Can you see it now? Can you see the right question? Can you give me just yes or no? I hope it works. Ah, yes, okay. Yes, perfect. We have not so many participants here, but 3. Anybody else? No. Yeah, 3 people wouldn't want to. Does anybody want to comment? Why don't you want to go to live stream concerts?
For several reasons, I feel. Firstly, I think we're already too fixated to screens. So I wouldn't like to attend a cultural activity, and it gives me PTSD from Corona as well. And I'm not into music, like no. So no.
Kertu has raised a hand, yes.
I would, and I have actually, because it was Andrea Bocelli concert was was live streamed from some I don't remember actually. Anyways, some church from Italy, and obviously I didn't have time or money to go to this concert, but it was live streamed, so I had possibility to attend as a guest, and it was actually quite interesting for me.
So it's actually the principle, better streamed than nothing. Yes, there are different opinions on that. Yes, Laura, you have also a comment.
I wanted to change my answer. I put no, but actually I meant yes. Because you showed the video and it was very like new music, and I just remembered I once attended to this kind of concert online, and it was horrible because they couldn't get the system working, and I was like, never again. But when Kertu mentioned about this Andrea Bocelli, then I realized, yes, I am actually attending like ERSO's or Berliner Philharmonikers live streaming concerts, which is a great opportunity to be involved in something that you maybe wouldn't go to necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would be very, very sad if I wouldn't be able to join, I don't know, song festival, Laulupidu in Estonian, if we didn't have the live stream of that, if we didn't have the live broadcast. But I was looking at it from internet, from my computer, because I was not in the specific location at the time. So depends on the thing, depends on the circumstances. So it's not so black and white that you would go or you would not go. So thank you for sharing. That's really great. Let's move on. I've have some other examples with you. So we talked about the latency and the jitter, and that there are delays in sometimes. There are many solutions for that. In the video of Stefano, you can also hear about the variety of different solutions or softwares. One of these options to deal with this is Lola. It's quite well known, and it's a low latency, high quality video and audio transmission system for network musical performance. It's specially made for music and made by musicians. So Lola is something that Estonian Academy of Music and Theatre here has practiced, but not only us, but like other universities and concert and music-related organizations all over Europe and even further have tried it. So I want to share with you the first clip. It's about the training that it gives you an overall understanding what Lola is and what a live stream could actually look like from a bit behind the curtains or like from backstage. This is Train the Trainers. The video clip introduces the situation where musicians and university technical department try to educate themselves. How do we organize the live streaming session? So let's see if we can.
Tenor esitleb, kas pesule on
Of course.
võimalik anda välisõhu värskust linnas elades. Nüüd on see palju lihtsam tänu uuendustele Lenorilt. Kasuta Lenor Fresh Air efekti ja saa pesu, mis on sama värske nagu õues kuivatatud. Proovi meie parimat värskust.
How can research and education networks connect musicians in different countries so they can rehearse and perform together? Hands-on training gave National Research and Education Networks, NRENs, from Eastern Partnership countries, EAP, practical experience in setting up network connectivity combined with LOLA, Low Latency Audiovisual Streaming System, during a 4-day workshop in Tallinn, Estonia, from the 18th to the 21st of July.
LOLA is a really high-end computer environment where you can share the local experience of crystal clear audio and best picture on the market to a far, far distance, let's say thousands of kilometers.
The Estonian Academy of Music and Theatre provided training, leadership and technical support based on the rich LOLA experience that it gained through the 2017 Music Without Borders concert organized by EAP Connect and subsequent other events.
So we got LOLA in this institution in October 2000, basically last year, October of last year. And since then we have been using for our everyday life.
We have done many performances and master classes. I have visited Belarus, the Minsk, and also Armenia, and we have done performances via Belarus and Tallinn, and Armenia and Tallinn, and they were quite successful.
It's very essential to us because with that we can give our teachers the way to teach in a modern way. It is highly recommended to all academies people to use LOLA as much as they ever want to.
Around 20 network and sound specialists and musicians from 4 EAP and 3 partner EU countries met at the Estonian Music Academy to exchange practical experience and theoretical knowledge, to interact and share best practices in a very dynamic environment.
The LOLA training days are the first event of his kind, and it's the first time that we're organizing something like that. And, but for sure, it's not going to be the last one. We already have the plan to repeat that in the next autumn.
Мы ознакомились не только по техническим вопросам, и были проведены практические занятия, которые мы видели, как в практике это делается, и было очень интересно вот послушать именно записи.
I want to say a lot of thanks to this team. Trainer team, it's absolutely professional, and whole concert awaits from LOLA, Music Without Borders.
LOLA is a wonderful possibility of connecting different people, different minds, different musical experiences and inspirations.
Each day of training was followed by a rehearsal, with the week culminating in a real LOLA use case. Remote Transitions, a concert with a live connection between Tallinn and 2 locations in Italy. Well-known musicians from Georgia and Germany, Rezo Kignadze and Vladi Bistrov, played saxophones in Tallinn together with musicians in Trieste and a dancer in San Giorgio, Venice, showcasing to an audience in San Giorgio, Venice, how seamless a connection the networks and LOLA provide.
So I can see only a bright future for LOLA.
Yes, so it also continues. As you see, in the music academy setting, it's very an everyday practice to use it for masterclasses, for concerts, for rehearsals. But while we know that, young influencers can go live in Instagram with their phone like that every second, basically, the high-end live streaming needs a proper crew. It needs like a proper technicians. It needs like educated people behind the scene to actually make it happen. And also, it is requiring a different approach to working also for artists, for musicians, and for like dancers or visual artists, whoever are engaged, because they need to pay attention to different signals, different types of signals they get via the screens and speakers and so on. So in some cases, it might not be even possible to do, because for this high-end live streaming, a very good internet, I'm not a professional in this internet terms, but the fifth generation of 5G internet is necessary, and it's at the moment, Music Academy uses this kind of LoLa equipment and LoLa solution for masterclasses, for rehearsals, but it also can be used in other areas of life. For example, I don't know, painting together, up to, you know, family doctors using it, like try coughing to me and I will diagnose you. I mean, there are actually different application possibilities for this kind of high-end live streaming as well. Not only music, but we have to understand that in this case, when it's really important to understand understand the signals and get the signals without latency, without delay, then it needs a bit better technical setup. I want to share with you another short video clip with the musician's perspective on the things. I hope that it's not commercial again.
Said sisse imbunud rasvapekke pead pesema kuuma veega. Jah.
Welcome to my home office, my lovely studio in the Estonian Academy of Music and Theatre. I couldn't imagine a better working environment or colleagues. Look, there's one. He is our sound technician. Not so long ago, I had to leave my cosy studio every week, a rehearsal in Vienna, then masterclasses in Krakow, a concert in Narva, unplug the cables, get inside the case, set up the cabling, sound check done, pack up again, all quite a pain in my chassis. And best not to think about all the flight mileage and pollution created. Yet such is the life of musicians, at least it used to be, because how can you practice concurrently and make it all come together without being in the same space together? But my colleagues here at the Academy helped bring to life a radical innovation. My old life as a live event mic was turned upside down. This was when the new building was still under construction. For the first concert here, the cello and the violin were set up in the new concert hall. But our noble colleague, the Steinway piano, stayed in the old building. The performance was to take place in these two spaces simultaneously with the help of LoLa. It means low latency audio-visual streaming. This didn't seem real. Then I was attached to this LoLa system, and oh boy, it sure was like being in two places at the same time. Every note from the piano reached us with no delay whatsoever, and the synchrony was so smooth, I totally forgot that we were not all in the same room. Then I realized this sort of blending of music and technology is the bright future of our profession. From that moment on, we have had a lot of fascinating cooperation, collective rehearsals, concerts in the north and also the south of Europe, and even in faraway Azerbaijan, as well as many other countries. My partners from Baku were initially just as sceptical as I used to be, knowing the lagginess of regular video calls. But LoLa has been developed by musicians for musicians. It can broadcast data so quickly that not a beat is missed. It works flawlessly thanks to our experienced people, fast computer networks, proper sound and presentation devices. For LoLa to run smoothly, we have been improving our network connections quite a lot. We're the first 5G university in Estonia. Using 5G, we have brought together even the most distant venues in Estonia, and we've helped increase the throughput of the whole Baltic scientific network and tackle its issues. I'm excited about the partnership possibilities and experience sharing that this can bring in the future, as well as the exciting outcomes for the music world all around. This technology doesn't have to be limited to music. All performers are able to collaborate in this way and perform live together across great distances, and no more endless travelling, which helps with environmental issues.
So how do you feel? No more endless traveling. Is this
Sad, very sad. I like an endless traveling.
you like endless traveling? For some musicians, it can be an option not to prefer using live stream, but for some other musicians, it might not be an option to avoid it. I don't know. How are your thoughts of that? It was, of course, obviously a promotional video, but from the musicians and artist perspective, how do you feel about it? Yeah, Kerttu.
Oh, sorry.
So I feel like it's from artist perspective. It can be like the positive side can be like I can be like more globally famous. Can I say that? Not famous, but like reach a wider audience. But otherwise, it's also good to go and travel around and make real connections with real people. That's also like, I'm like both sides. I feel like it's good for wider audience, but otherwise personal connections also matter.
Exactly. Laura.
I would like to present instrument player's view on this. So I think this is a genius thing because so many instrument players, they seek out for opportunities to get like master classes, and it's a big part of educational like path for them. And if you want to get like, let's say 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, if you wanted to get a masterclass, let's say from Italy, from someone, then you had to find funds for it. You have to maybe apply from Kulka to get the money to go to, like, it's a whole big hassle, and maybe you could do it like once in 2 years. But if you have opportunities like this, then yeah, you don't have the personal connection per se, like physical connection, which is very important as well, but at least you get something. And because the technology is so advanced, I think it's such a big benefit for all the musicians in the making. So I am like amazed by this opportunity.
Have you used it yourself, or have you been part of the live streaming?
I haven't used myself, but I know many people who have been using it, and it makes a big difference if you can go to master classes like either like once in 2 years, or like nowadays you can do like maybe once in every 2 months. It's a big difference in their like professional growth.
Yeah, exactly. Kerttu.
Yes, I agree with Laura. I actually finished one virtual masterclass from New York City. From my favorite storyteller, choreographer, Al Blackstone, like a few years ago. But before that, if he didn't do live streaming or anything, I didn't have chance to take these masterclasses. So I'm very grateful for my artistic growth.
Yeah. But in case of master classes, there is the communication is 2 ways. Yeah. In many times, like if we talk about concert live streaming, then it's just one way. You kind of you broadcast the information on one way. But but the both ways, it's very useful. Even though it could be a bit awkward from time to time to participate in this. I want to show you like around 5-6 minutes another clip. I mean, you can just also listen and sing along if you wish. there's an example how a music pedagogy student in Oslo, in Norway, is teaching the folk music students in Tallinn. And this is actually how, in many cases now, the music pedagogy works. What is happening in our classrooms and so on. It's a regular thing. And in these occasions, the technical setup and the crew thing does not have to be so extensive, because it's not a big hall that they present, but it's just for rehearsing. But still, the Lola technology there is also used. And let's hope for another washing powder commercial here.
Hi, my name is Isa Holmgren, and I am a master's student here in my second year at the folk music program at NMH, Norges Musikhögskola. And I am so happy to get to be a part of this project. It's really cool, and especially after the years almost that we've had of the pandemic, making it difficult to both collaborate internationally, which is something that I think in the Nordic and Baltic countries we're very used to. But it's also made it difficult to have even lessons and to work or have lessons or collaborate nationally during the periods of heavy restrictions. So it's really cool to get to be a part of showing off Lola. And in the session today, we'll actually show you quite a bit of what Håkon was talking about. We'll start off with a workshop-like situation where I'll teach a tune, and we'll show off some improvisation, and the students in Estonia will play a song, a tune, so we can experience the concert-like situation. And then we'll finish off with a lovely jam session, all of us together. Right. Yeah. I'll do what I usually do when I teach a tune in a folk music context, which is that I'll sing it through one time, and then we'll do it phrase by phrase. And if you want to join in, all of you on Zoom, in your homes, just feel free. This is a part of a brudedans from Aurskog, which is a type of tune that traditionally has two parts, and we'll do the first part in a 2-beat. Yes. I think that's a good, better key. Triam tarin la di day hadn't ta day tarin la di day taranto lia day tam tarin la di day haranto ta day tarin la day to la day hararin la diam taranto lia day to lianto tararin la day to la day hararin la diam taranto lia day to lianto tararin la day to. Phrase by phrase. Triam tarin la di day. Triam tarin la di day.
Yes, and then so they continue phrase by phrase. The ones repeat, and then she corrects the group, and then she asks someone to sing it alone, and so on. So this is the work. This is the type of work that is happening here in the Music Academy all the time. You can have access to those videos later on. These were the some of the examples. Okay. I now invite you to vote again in Mentimeter. Go to menti.com and use the code 4874-8144, 4874-8144, and try to position yourself somewhere between strongly disagree and strongly agree. Why doesn't it share again? Share screen. Can you please share? Yes. Why is it paused? Do you see my screen? No.
I'm sorry, I am late.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
Why doesn't it show? Okay, let's try once again. Did you manage to go to menti.com?
Yeah, we can see it and we can answer the things.
Okay, lovely. Yes. Like how there are five statements. How do you position yourself? What do you feel about the statements? Do you agree with them or not? Live stream is perfect as it is effective and cost-free, or you agree or disagree. Live stream is better than having no marketing at all. Live stream could work only for youngsters, not for specific generations or specific type of people. Live streaming is boring and a waste of time. Or live streaming could work for like modern time influencers, but I would never use it myself. And the line there shows the average that we think. So yeah, live stream, like in terms of marketing or sharing the information or promoting something, all of you, the ones who answer seem to be in favor of using rather streaming than nothing. So it's better than nothing. But I would, yeah, and people also think that they could use it. They don't really agree with it. The statement that they would never use it. So I see that the majority of us is rather in favor of using live streaming, which is really good. I want to share my experience. Do you see my slide? Yes, I don't see you at the moment. How can I not? Like, how can I see you? I hope I can see you as well. Because I want to share my experience. When I was trying to use live stream for marketing purposes or for promotional purposes. At the time, I was head of a cultural management program, and we had an admission coming. And so I thought that, okay, people love live streams nowadays. So I just need to see you. I just want to, how can I still see you? Okay. For some reason, I can't see you right now, but anyways, I was hoping that we could do a quick and easy solution for live streaming, to just talk about the program and introduce it to the target group in Estonia. What is the study program all about, and what are the requirements for admission, and so on. So I came up with an idea. Let's do around an hour live stream, both in YouTube and in Facebook. At the time, our channel didn't have so many followers in Instagram, so we thought that, okay, let's leave Instagram out for now. And my idea was that we do like a conversation and there's somebody with a camera and that's it. But in reality, it turned out to be a pretty hectic situation. I hope I can somehow do. I want to share this still with you so that you can see how it actually looked like. I had very controversial feelings about it. Did we do it well? Was it a success or was it a failure? Because there were so many unexpected aspects that came to us when we tried. So I initiated it. Technically, I did it so that I set up a Facebook event and I put the settings there that it's a live broadcast. And in the Facebook setting, I then copied the key of the stream to the YouTube, so they were connected. I asked the Academy's cameraman to just come by at this time, and why don't you just record, like film us. But then it turned out that while we had a couple of other people there as well, it was really bad idea to do it with only one camera. So it quickly shifted into 2 cameras. And if you have 2 cameras, you have to have the mixer, then the mixing component there as well to choose between the camera pictures, to choose which camera's screen you actually broadcast at the moment. On the last minute, randomly, a colleague from technical department just stepped by and said, "Oh, you're planning a live stream here. It's really dark in this room. We need some more better equipment." So very quickly he organized some special lighting for us, and it looked something like that in the end. So now it's up in the air. Can you see this?
Tere kõigile! Tere siin ja sealpool ekraani! Kõik on täna kogunenud siia, et kuulda kultuurikorralduse magistriõppest Eesti Muusika- ja Teatriakadeemias.
So there it started with a really weird feeling because we were not really sure if everything works out perfectly. We couldn't check it while you're on live. You can't go and check yourself if everything is working out smoothly. Eventually, we did get the conversation going, and it was all live, and it was recorded at the same time, and it was broadcasted both in Facebook and both in YouTube. And there were around 300 people who actually looked at or watched the recording of the streaming session. But there are some things from this experience that we learned. And I just want to share these ideas with you. As you see from the picture here, the room was really tiny. We were all pressed into one corner of the room. For the next time, I know now that the room should be checked beforehand from the camera. How would it look like from the screen? From the viewer's perspective, what kind of impression it actually creates, how the seating is put. For example, we had a little table in front of us, which was actually not a good idea because it created automatically a distance between between the or the audience, the viewer behind the screen, and us, the talkers. And the sitting, the positioning, it happened so that one person had to always be sideways to the camera. So that was not really a good choice. So this kind of a little details of this pop-up studio have to be thought through much more carefully than we actually did. So the lighting, natural lighting, might not be the best version for live streaming, because natural light is always changing and moving, and regular lamps, which we have in like normal rooms, they create not so appealing shadows. So special lighting is necessary. That requires a bit of attention and human resources to set it up. Another important aspect that I realized that all the script, all the scenario, who is going to talk what and when in which order, it has to be actually agreed beforehand. So the person behind the camera is aware of that and could react accordingly. And it leaves then rather small room for improvisations, because if you start improvising between many people, if you start doing something random, then the cameraman would be actually really confused whom to show, what to show, from distance or for like zoom in. So there's a little room for improvisation if you have a live stream with more than one people in air. So then we had a little misunderstanding with sharing the slides. One should definitely check the screen mirroring settings. We had it wrong, so it didn't start sharing the slides to the air. So they should be checked beforehand, and the sound sound settings of the computer should be checked. I mean, depends on the computer and it depends on the solution what you actually use. I can't tell you the detailed specifics, but it just has to be made sure that it works properly beforehand. Of course, we discovered it while we were live on air. But it's a very good, valuable lesson. Interruptions to the room. We used a small random classroom or seminar room. And then, of course, there was a colleague who just popped in, just checking what's happening there in the room. So these kind of pop-up studios might be a good idea, but it also might bring some surprises. Also, we have to be prepared for this occasion when nobody is actually watching live stream. And if you have planned some interactions and hope to get some questions or hope to spend some times on Q&A session live, what if nobody asks anything? What if nobody's actually watching, but everybody's counting to watch on recording? So what do you do then? So that for this we were prepared. So we had some people pre-agreed to be there online and to take the role of a viewer and then of a potential candidate. And I'm glad we did that, even though we did receive some questions there as well in the end, but not at the time when we were expecting them. Internet connection might be unstable. It's always the case of live streaming. And the live broadcast then is a bit interrupted. It has some small pauses and some small delays, so that at one point it wasn't really nicely running very smoothly. So what I learned from this experience for myself, that I need to have a control group of people, control team, to be on the viewer side, and somebody who can signal me in the same room, something is wrong, stop, or tell me. So being all by yourself is not really a good idea. Another aspect is that if you also include other people get nervous. There's a camera fright, and what you have planned, how the discussion actually runs, it does not turn out like that. And again, if somebody gets frozen in front of the camera, somebody else has to quickly take over, and the cameraman is just confused then. So these kind of things happened to our session, and I'm really glad. I'm really grateful that those things happened because we now know. And from my side, personally, I felt it really, really weird to talk to emptiness. I mean, I need to see somebody's eyes to talk to. But in live session, I couldn't see the cameraman because he was hiding behind the camera. So I was talking to complete emptiness, to void. And it's really difficult. So if you ever plan to use live recording, I strongly recommend making a small test recording, just how it feels to talk alone in front of the camera, and just to try it out, and then test all the settings that you want to make sure that everything works out nicely. Do you have any experiences from your own side? Have you done live stream, and what kind of lessons you've learned? Anybody wants to share? Yes, Laura.
I have one funny story to add. We had one occasion that we were doing live stream, and it was Saaremaa Opera Days, and it's like a big thing where everybody comes together and there is like a panel going on, and there was this technical, like you said, everything needs to be like technically correct because it's live, and you have to check everything. So we had a company doing it, but then there was like this musical performance as well in the middle of the panel, and the music performance, they said like, oh, we are gonna just sing one song from an opera, and then they sang it, and then it was Facebook Live, and Facebook said like, oh, there are copyright issues, we are gonna cut the live, and they cut the live, and we couldn't like do it anymore. So there was this issue that we didn't like know it's gonna happen. I mean, obviously we know about the copyrights, but the performer was singing only with piano. It wasn't like something very similar to original song, so we didn't think it's gonna be an issue, but it was in the end, and yeah, it ended very quickly for us. So
did you get any reactions from the viewers? How did they took it? Did you get lots of angry calls? What's happening now?
No, it's usually like because it's not the interactive live, then we are not like asking any questions. So it's usually like watched later. So we apologized for it beforehand, and I mean it was okay in the end. But the issue came that we didn't expect. Like everything was prepared so like perfectly, and then someone was singing so well that the copyright issue came. So yeah,
it's also a very good aspect to keep in mind, that everything that you put in here, it has to be copyright protected.
Yeah,
that's and then everything has to be used correctly. Thank you very much for sharing. I want to continue with another example, and then we will wrap it up as well. We now have seen examples for promotional reasons, and for music, like music performance, and for music pedagogy. But as we all know, live stream can be used in other settings as well, and especially the importance of this emerged during the corona pandemic. And I want to share with you a clip from another presentation done by Uuli Kondo-Korhonen, who is a lecturer in Turku University of Applied Sciences. And she talks in her presentation how they piloted, they tested out a streaming stream sessions to replace hospital musicians. Like it comes out that in Finland they do have a position or profession called hospital musician, and during pandemic it was not possible to have the hospital musicians. So Uli and her colleagues tried out live streaming instead, and they used Zoom, and they used Sonobus. Sonobus is also rather well known. It's like Lola, but it's Sonobus. It's a different solution, but it has the same function. So and she explains how they used the principle of low latency and low threshold music with healthcare environments with remote connections and low threshold music. It's another useful example.
Our goal was to organize music interventions remotely in the care home. Encounters between clients and musician. The aim was to enable music making together at the same time, namely so-called low threshold inclusion via remote connections. Engaging the resident or patient in making music and striving for good interaction are important ways of working in the care home. In these music interventions, the image was transmitted via Zoom and the sound passed through Sonobus. The most essential technical matter was getting the fastest possible network connection. The musician, it was me, worked on our project here at Turku Arts Academy, and the care home is located about 4 kilometers from here. Through wireless Wi-Fi connections, we couldn't get a small enough delay that singing would have been pleasant together. My internet connection was greatly improved when I connected my computer at the Arts Academy with the Ethernet cable directly to the network. The delay was clearly reduced, although the internet in the care home was still running via wireless network access. My ping was at best 2 milliseconds, enabling singing together with care home needs in mind. In the care home, ping was at best between 4 to 6 milliseconds via the care home's wireless network. We carried out 2 types of musical interventions, as you can see in the images. For a small group of residents, 3 residents and nurse, and for a single room, 1 resident, relative and nurse. In the Sonobus app, everyone has to wear corded headphones. Speakers cannot be used due to the sound rotation, and wireless headphones also increase latency. Since we were implementing a so-called low-threshold remote music service for more than 1 listener, we had to purchase more technical equipment. Our goal was to acquire easy-to-use, inexpensive and easy-to-move devices for the care home and musicians. We bought a sound card and a headphone amplifier and headphone splitter for both musicians and care homes. When choosing a headset, we took into account elderly residents. We choose comfortable, open or semi-open headphones that cover the ear. We aim to make sure that headphones do not completely isolate the environment so that the instructions of the nursing staff are heard through the headphones if necessary. We choose headphones that are powerful enough even with a small headphone amplifier power. The headphones of all listeners were connected to the same headphone amplifier with listener-specific volume control. If necessary, we could also use long 3 or 5 meter headphone wires to give listeners distance to each other if they wanted. The total price of the procurements was about 750 euros. In addition, a computer is required for the set as well as a microphone cable and stand, which were found in both rooms before. For musical interventions, a video projector was used in the care home to project the image onto the wall. This improved the implementation of interventions. I have written here the adjustments for Sonobus and Zoom with the great help of the lecturer Sami Sallinen. Hello, Sami. And we checked all these every time in the beginning of each online session. I used a Mac computer for music interventions, but Geohome used a PC to which we had to download the audio stream input-output driver because we were using a sound card. At this point in the project, I remember wondering if this implementation was too complicated for the care home. Is it a low-threshold implementation anymore? I had to learn many times how to use these devices before I learned to trust my expertise. Eventually, it took about 20 minutes to connect the devices. In the care home, it would be best to have the equipment permanently ready in its own state. I also started to wonder, what does a low threshold actually mean? Whose point of view is being thought of? Customer, listener, audience, or service provider, musician? In social services, low threshold may mean, for example, free of charge, or that the service is easily accessible by location. The low threshold definition is therefore very ambiguous. For these remote music interventions by Zoom and Sonobus, the low threshold meant, among other things, that the music intervention would take place in a care home near wards or in a resident's own room. During the coronavirus period, it is also considered an advantage that a musician from outside does not come to the location, but the connection takes place via the network. The presence and accessibility of live music, human encounters, interaction, and making music together are possible despite the pandemic. Multidisciplinary cooperation and trust between nursing staff and musicians are essential for the music service in healthcare settings. I met with the responsible nursing staff members 2 times before the musical intervention started with residents. The purpose of these meetings was to communicate the principles of implementation, as well as to hear carers' views on residents' needs and opportunities. We also discussed music, its wide range of meanings, not only for ourselves, but also for the elderly residents of the care home. The caregivers selected the residents involved in the interventions. We avoided involving people with advanced memory disease because we didn't yet have the experience of the possible confusion these technical devices and the use of headphones would perhaps cause in elderly listeners. I decided to start with a simple instrumentation, singing and 5-string and piccolo kantele, pentatonic flute and a sansula, which is a well-tuned kalimba. With this instrumentation, I was able to stand still within the reach of Zoom's camera. For musical content, I chose the songs I assumed familiar to the residents, in which listeners were allowed to participate by singing by heart if they wished. I wanted to avoid using papers with text because the paper takes too much attention, crunches and interferes with the sensitive interactions and possible eye contact. In addition, many care home residents have problems with their vision. I decided to keep the duration of the intervention short enough, about 30 to 40 minutes, to avoid possible fatigue with the remote connection. The musical encounter included 6 songs known to this age group with intermediate improvisations. I chose the songs not only for the familiarity, but also because they have recurring verses or recurring choruses that are easy to engage in. At the beginning of the remote intervention, it was good to give enough time to orient the situation, create a calm, safe atmosphere, and tell those involved what kind of music intervention is coming up. The nurse assisted those involved in the music intervention in setting up headphones, as well as adjusting volume levels to the appropriate level for each resident. The nurse also took care of disinfecting the headphones before and after the intervention. The situation was new for everyone, but when the headphones were brought to the ears of the residents and everyone heard the sound, it seemed that these residents forgot about the headphones right away. Eyes were alert, facial expressions conveyed reactions, and the dialogue worked. An important, indeed low-threshold addition was that I attended to my own Zoom wallpaper a selection of images leading up to the songs. Arable landscape, midsummer roses in a yard, a wall of an outbuilding painted in red, coniferous forest. Evoked by these images, we were able to hear memories and stories from residents in the intervals between songs, including memories of a farmer, a story about a previous home, or the consequences of a failed operation. Some funny, even surprising comments and associations were said aloud, including a sauna on the beach, a red bucket, and an old well. What surprised me was how easily and well it all worked out in the end. I was terrified of a significantly worse scenario where technology starts to play tricks, residents find the online connection strange, or find the headphones distracting. This did not happen, at least with these rather fit old residents. Some of the residents actively participated in singing and were eager to comment and discuss between songs. I observed how one resident kept dozing off, another was moved and eyes filled with tears. A third was energetically engaged, participating in each song, at least in some respects. You could see a smile from behind the mask in the nurse's eyes at times. From the perspective of a musician, the remote music intervention felt different in some respects compared to a live setting. I was unable to use space varyingly, move around the space, and thus use the different acoustics of the space to my advantage. I neither approached nor distanced myself from the listeners or used different levels in the encounter, kneeling, sitting, standing. In this implementation, the image coming through Zoom was only shot from the front with one camera. So I stood while I was playing and singing in the same point all the time. Also, the microphone distance was adjusted according to my standing point. The body language of those involved in the interventions conveyed to the musician via the Zoom image was a little more ambiguous than in a live situation. But the conversations in the intervals between the songs came close and worked well. Instead, even small body movement of the musician take a big meaning in the Zoom image. I also strived to keep my own eyes clearly open and look openly into Zoom's camera. From the feedback I heard that those involved in the care home felt that the musician is looking at them as individuals. Through Sonobus, the sound quality feels good. Your own singing and playing in your own ears also sound natural and acoustically spacious. Hearing your own voice and acoustic sense of space can be adjusted in the Sonobus monitor control. So, the headphones on my ears didn't make hearing my own voice echoless and vacuum-like, or make the sound stale, which I presumed beforehand. The Sonobus program allows more people to speak simultaneously without the program cutting off the voice of speakers, as is the case in Zoom. This contributes a lot to the interaction, and not only the personal experience, but also the shared experience of a small group. It was nice to chat and sing, said a resident of a care home. Honest feedback is received from residents who participated in the musical interventions, which is reflected in their appearance. The effects of the experience may appear in residents' behavior several hours after the music session, perhaps for the rest of the day after returning to their own ward. It's good to move on from this. This autumn, I will continue my activities so that some music interventions will involve music pedagogy students from Turku Arts Academy. In this case, in addition to inclusive songs, also presentational musical gifts are also added to the musical interventions.
So this is rather long, but I wanted to present it because she actually shares a different point of view. While for us, when we set up the live streaming, it can be sometimes pretty big fuss around the technical equipment and stuff. We still have to remember that if the purpose of doing the live stream is really important to the listeners, to someone on the other side of the screen, it can make a long-term impact on their health, on their well-being. It can actually change even their lives. So despite of the issues that we might face because of the technical details that need some skills, need resources, and need stuff, and even if it might feel like a struggle at one point, we have to consider the situation where the receiver actually could benefit from this, and they might not get any other chance to see and hear the things unless we provide them via live streaming. So that was my little wrap up from this example. Do you have any comments on this example? What do you think of this work, streaming music to health center customers? Yes, Leah?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there similar activities in Estonia? Some countries might hold these kind of activities, but some countries might not consider to operate.
I'm not sure if we have it like in streaming. We have organizations who go and play in real life in hospitals, but I'm not sure if they do it in streaming, not that I have heard of. Because as we heard from the Finnish experience, it requires a special equipment. It's not just singing over Zoom. It's not the same. It needs software and it needs a proper setup. So I don't think they do it here in Estonia.
No, I meant real, not through the help of the software. Yeah.
In real life, yes, they go to elderly houses, they go to health care centers, and there is a special foundation who is actually organizing some concerts in these kind of healthcare facilities. Yes, that's true. I see people are already leaving because the students actually need to leave for another session. Thank you very much for being here with me, and I wish you good afternoon and continuous learning journey. Thank you. Bye.